I guess the biggest lesson I ever had in music was I realized no one can be me. I grew up in a certain situation where I was told that I was going to spend my life in jail. I was incarcerated as a youth and all this stuff. So of course that feeling, especially when you get it when you're young, is difficult to get beyond, right? So I mean, I spent in music also years of like, oh, I'm not really that good. But in time, you know, I saw in other people how they did it, and then I realized, yeah, it's not a matter of value or how good you are. It's a matter of zoning into that thing, which is like, what can I do? Because what I do is going to be unique, because we're all unique individuals. I really didn't have any problems after that as far as worrying about outside and inside, because a lot of it is just in your mind, you know, because you think a certain way. You do have to kind of like, yeah, make the jump, you know. A lot of it's just about trusting and making the jump, you know. I can do this. I wasn't necessarily a natural musician. I had some aspects of music that were natural to me, but I had to work pretty hard at it, and it was a struggle. I loved doing it. I had a passion for it. When I was a kid, we went like every weekend to the hockey rink and we saw a concert. And that's where the passion grew out of, was from listening, really. I just loved it so much. Ended up on Hornby when I was 18. It was a small community, so you knew everyone. There was a live and let live attitude, which I really liked. We appreciated each other's offerings, whether it be, you know, dragging that giant stump up to the hall and somehow making a door out of it, and all kinds of other things, you know, and the old fair and all that stuff. It was a fun place to be, you know, like you just felt part of it. And I think the biggest part was you were allowed to be what you were. You didn't feel the need to change yourself, to fit in. I lived at a guy's place named Sammy. And Sammy played violin and accordion, and he wanted someone to play with him. He had a guitar. So he taught me some of the songs, so I played with him, and I learned a bunch of old Americana songs. And I came and went a lot then because there was no work on Hornby, so I lived a pretty transient lifestyle. I hitchhiked, I worked in many places across Canada, down the States, but I always came back to Hornby. I kind of started composing before I went to school, and that would have been in the early 80s. And, you know, to be honest, the music was really crappy, and I wasn't very good. And I just kept doing it, and it slowly got better. The composition part has been good for me because it allowed me to have my own bands, because I had the music. You know, I had a game plan. Instead of just being someone who's always waiting for someone to phone them to come do a gig, I would kind of get that part together, get the gig, get the musicians, give them the music. And, you know, it opened up a different possibility for me, you know, where basically I could get my music played. So that was important too. So a lot of the creative process for me doesn't come from a beautiful sunset or that kind of stuff as much as just having the instrument and playing it, or hearing music in my head, figuring out what it is, and try and incorporate that into what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take these things that I've experienced in my life, because I've been addicted, I've been homeless, I've been in a school where people were abused and all that stuff. So I've been very interested in presenting music as a multimedia thing, and actually trying to make a tiny little difference about some of these issues that we're dealing with as human beings. Circumstances have brought them there, and generally it's abuse. Once you're high, you don't think about all that horrible stuff that's happened to you. And my experience in rehab and all that, it's like that's 80-90% of the people there. They've been hurt by others. And now they find themselves in this situation. And they don't know how to get out. So it's a very complex problem. But we got to start somewhere here. And I think that's where you start, as you develop a feeling for these people. Being a drug addict is a symptom of a deeper problem. You know, once you have someone in your family going through this, yeah, you have empathy. The point is to get everyone having empathy, because it's not right what's going on. And so I want to shine a light on those individuals that aren't fortunate enough to be able to do it themselves. And I really believe that if people went out of their way to humanize these people that they've stigmatized, they would see the beauty of everyone. So I guess if I'm trying to do anything, I'm just trying to give this little perspective. Composing is, well, you know, a lot of people would say it's music that's frozen, right? Like, you write it down. My music is not all written down. Short little sections are written down, and there's improvisation. But it is, you know, you write it down, that's what it is. And so you give it to the musician. Ideally, you think about them when you're writing it out, and you think about what they're good at playing, and you make the music comfortable for them. Performing is totally different because it depends on communication more than anything. And that's the importance of performance, right? The most important part of it. It's like you can play with someone and you develop a tightness really quick, because it's a little different than making friends normally, because there's a certain trust factor that has to occur very early in the process. You have awesome friendships. You know, I've played with musicians for like 20, 30 years. So that was a nice part of getting into composition. Where you feel it the most is when you're performing live. Let's say, it's just everything is working perfectly. I mean, it's hard to explain what that feeling is, but it's a good feeling. It doesn't always happen. And I think that's part of the reason that you keep doing it, because you get this feeling and you want to have it every time you do it. A lot of what makes it amazing is that you're not thinking. You're not analyzing. There's none of that going on. You know the music so well. You don't have to think about what these things are doing, and it's all happening. So that's the most awesome part. And I think, you know, in my case, I put in the time. It's a little easier now. Like I said, I don't have to think so much about things, and they, you know, especially playing live, or, you know, I'm not, it's not required that I know exactly what this finger is going to do, or, you know, but that's just longevity and just keeping doing it, you know. If you stop, then it goes away, you know. Just like anything, it can go away. It's like, I always go back to, it's like life. Like, you do anything every day, you're going to get good at it. It's that simple. There's no real secret here. There's no secret, actually. There's just totally opposite of a secret. The challenge is always just doing the work. It's the challenge of anything in life. You got to do it. I mean, the main thing is you force yourself to do it. And you go, yeah, I don't want to do this right now, but I'm going to. And you develop the trust, because you do need to develop that trust that your own self is important enough to do it, you know, and not be sidetracked by what other people might do or think or any of that stuff. It's not important. It's just that you do, like I was saying before, it's a doing thing. You just keep doing it. And then over many years, hopefully it gets better. I do trust in my intuition. And so when things come to me in my head, or I sing something and I go to the keyboard there and I figure it out, you know, I'm not thinking about where it comes from. I mean, I don't know where it comes from. I have no idea. I just know it comes. And so for me, that's, you know, that's the most important part of what I do. So I trust my intuition. I don't overthink things. I don't try and figure out what I'm going to do before I do it. Nothing like that. That's what it's all about. It's like listening to your intuition is, it's not thinking about it. It's not a matter of being open to it or not open to it. It's just you are that. It comes from, you know, kind of through you. A lot of it is just because I've been doing what I do for so long. It's all I know. And so all these things have developed, in a sense, organically over the course of a lot of time. It's not a matter of thinking about it. The great thing about music and a lot of things in life, you're never going to know it all. You're always going to be learning. And I think that's what's nice about life in general. We're all creative beings in our way because we're living, and life is improvisation. And what's more creative than that? That's the height of creation, because you actually are doing something that is not predetermined. So we're all being creative, you know, all human beings are creative individuals. And whether we know it or not, we are creative because we're living. And that part of living is you're improvising. You have to make it up as you go. And that really is the highest form of art, as far as I'm concerned. And again, art, I don't know what that word means, because I think we're all artists. In a way, society is, for certain arts, they've codified it. And that's craziness to me. I just don't get it, man. It's so limiting our mental outlook on life. You're going to miss so much if you think this is what something is. It's like, I play Tony Wilson music, and that's the most honest way I can tell you, because that's what I do. You know, you could take it and say, well, jazz and classical, but why bother? Because you're boxing things in again, you know? And I just think that it's not effective. It's being exclusive, you know? That's what it is. This is art. These guys were artists, you know, and yet life is art, man. The whole deal is art. You just gotta open your eyes to it all and see it for what it is and realize, you know, what's, you know, a beautiful flower, what's better than that? I think it's just being open to life